So my friend Tasha brought something to my attention tonight. And she said, yo, did you hear about what happened last week? I was like, no. I'm gonna try not to get upset, but it's upsetting to talk about. There was a dog at West Valley. His name's Mugsley. He died in a city truck when it was like 107 degrees outside, which means who knows what it was in the truck, considering they're not ventilated, they have no AC, basically a metal box, pretty much, a metal kennel. This dog was a senior boxer who apparently was at the shelter for like a month, had rescue. Because it had rescue, it wasn't neutered, so they decided to transport it from West Valley 20 miles to Valley Village. I don't know why they can't do the neuter on site or somewhere local. They transfer it to Valley Village, which is 20 miles away. So if you live in Los Angeles, you know how long that could take, especially if it's during the day. And I believe this ride happened around 3 p.m. 107 degrees outside. A senior boxer was driven 20 miles to get a neuter by the city of Los Angeles and died in the truck. There's numerous disturbing things about this, none of which carry the weight of just putting yourself in the dog's situation. The fact that it died in a hot box, it really breaks your heart. I wanted to see this dog's face before I shot the video, and I'm looking right at it right now. I don't get this kind of stuff, because not only is it lacking in common sense and just outright stupid, it makes no sense. It makes no sense to take a dog that's on site at West Valley and drive them 20 miles midday in Los Angeles in a truck with no AC, no ventilation. And oh, by the way, there was 3 other dogs in the truck. Another which is missing now. There's 2 pit bulls that are accounted for that came in under duress, and there was a 3rd dog, I believe it was also a pit bull, that is missing. So did that 3rd dog also die? Nobody knows yet. What we do know, though, is that Mugsley died. And this is under the guidance of a department which consistently preaches, do not leave your animals in the car. Even in 80-degree weather. Roll the windows down. Lecture, get in people's business, and not saying that those suggestions aren't proper to a certain extent. Absolutely, you don't want to see anybody leaving their animals in a hot fucking car. My point is the hypocrisy here at a department that constantly lectures and preaches these things, and yet they themselves do it, and dogs die on their watch. And then what do? Do they make that public knowledge? No. They attempt to hide it. What does the shelter record say that somebody got a hold of? The dog died in the shelter. False. That's a lie. The dog did not die in the shelter. It died on the truck under the supervision of an animal control officer that was driving it 20 miles in Los Angeles traffic during the day when it was 107 degrees outside. God only knows how hot it was inside of that box. I live in a box. I live in a studio. When it is 90 degrees outside, it's like 102 in here. So if it's 107 in the valley, how hot was it in that motherfucking truck? How long was the dog in the truck for? 20 miles both ways? I work 10 miles away from where I live right now. It takes me an hour to get to work. less than 10 miles. The most important point that I want to make, why does nobody get in trouble for this kind of stuff? How can nobody get in trouble for this kind of stuff? Who drove this dog? Who lacked the common sense and the decency to make that call? Who lacked the common sense to drive that truck and not do anything? Not change course, what kind of people are you hiring? What kind of people are you employing? Here's the problem. When something like this happens, does the person that allowed this to happen, directly or indirectly, made the call from a managerial standpoint, did they ever have any accountability come down to them? Not that I'm aware of, not that I can see. No. The only reason the public knows about this is because somebody did their due diligence from a record-keeping standpoint and asked for something, discovered it through a public record that they have to jump through hoops to get. So my question to Animal Services is, when are you going to stop protecting your own? This is a question society should be asked. You see it in politics. You see it in policing. You see it everywhere. Everywhere. The bad apples get called out? No. They get coalesced around and they get defended. Because little groups, big groups, they get offended when you criticize an individual within that group, and they take it as an attack on the full group. And so instead of rooting out the bad apples, instead of bringing accountability to those that did terrible things, they coalesce around them, protect them, because the whole group takes it as an affront and as an attack on the group. And it's intellectually dishonest and disingenuous and complete bullshit. And LA Animal Services, why are you doing this? It's not a surprise that you do this. Nearly every other group does it. But when does it change? When does this outlook shift? At what point? At what point do we do better? At what point do we demand more of ourselves? Don't you realize that when you allow this shit to happen under your watch and don't punish the person or persons that's responsible, that then makes the whole group look bad? It discredits the whole system. It discredits the whole department. When a cop shoots a kid on the street unarmed, and instead of prosecuting that individual cop that made that terrible call and essentially murdered somebody, the department coalesces around him and protects him because they take it as a front on the department and against cops as a whole. And yeah, there's some rhetoric around there flying around at times, but you can't control that. What you can control, though, is show the public that you're going to hold these motherfuckers accountable no matter where they're coming from. If they do something wrong, you're going to hold them accountable, and that will lift you up because you did the right thing. The right thing here is to say, who made this call? Who drove this truck? Why was this done? The dumbest option is what they did. And then the dog dies, and then they try to cover it up. They tell the rescue that the dog died during the surgery, the neuter surgery, instead of in the truck in the heat from heat exhaustion. I don't get it. This stuff shouldn't happen. This stuff shouldn't happen. This stuff shouldn't happen by any department, anywhere, let alone in a city like Los Angeles. And yet we have animal control officers that make these stupid ass calls that lack so much common sense. If they did make a bad call, tell the truth and become accountable for that. The department make an individual accountable for that. Instead, you're going to be just like everybody else. Every other wrong-headed, herd hashing out bad individuals is a good thing. Shouldn't take it as an attack on your organization. Are you that weak-minded? Are you that weak? If your job is to educate the public Can't you educate the public about what an individual that you hired did badly and then tell them how you attempted to make that right? Doesn't that stand for anything? And instead you're just gonna act like nothing happened, pretend nothing happened, not punish anybody? Or are you gonna be forced into punishing them now? Now that the public's aware. Oh, so you're gonna be forced into punishing them, potentially. And then you're gonna look good and you're gonna grandstand on that. Why didn't you do the right thing when you had the chance? This happened a week, 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow's the commission meeting. People are gonna be shitting on you at the commission meeting because of this. Is the public gonna have to force you to do the right thing? Like everybody else, public has to force you to do the right thing? Force groups to do the right thing? And most of the time, they're like, fuck the public. They don't even do the right thing anyways. This is the problem with this world. Groups, they can never police themselves. They can never police their friends. They can never police their associates. They can never police people that pay them. They can never police people that give them favors. What's super frustrating is when you see something like this that's just blatantly inexcusable. It's blatantly just completely wrong. This could have been avoided. This didn't have to happen. This is messed up, man. This poor dog. I'm looking at this dog right now, man. Like, why do you not have AC in your trucks? Why is the dog even in the truck? Why does the dog even need to be neutered outside of your facility? Why can't the rescue do it? Why are you lying when the dog does die on your watch? Why are you trying to cover it up? His death was going to be covered up had it not been for somebody that did the right thing and stumbled upon a record, a public record, or whatever it was. And how many of these instances happen every month, year? Well, the city's gonna say no, never happens, none, zero. Because we don't have the proof, because we can't pull out paperwork and say, nah, motherfucker, you're lying because it happened here, and here, and here, and here. And oh yeah, here too. So they get to stand in that position knowing that you don't have access to information, and it makes them look good. But every now and then, information seeps out. And here it is in this instance, and they look like shit, and justifiably so. Rest in peace, Mugsley. I'm sorry that this shit happened to you.